These are the 20 books that I want to read in the month of September. I am so excited to read these because these are books that are in my comfort zone but also out of my comfort zone. I have been wanting to try to read things that are outside of what I normally read, so we have some of that in here. We also have some thrillers, we have some romances. We pretty much have everything that you can think of in this stack, and I'm really excited. So let's go through this stack. Comment below what you guys are reading in the month of September or what you plan on reading, and let's just get into it. September and October, I think, are the times that I read the most thrillers, and November too, like a sprinkle of November depending on the weather, because I definitely get down bad when it gets to be like winter time, like deep into the winter. So I don't normally read a ton of thrillers during that time. I read mostly thrillers during early fall. So this is the time for me to really like read the most. So I have 5 thrillers that I want to read, and these are pretty long, thick thrillers. I feel like each month I'll probably be reading like 5, maybe 7 thrillers. I have 5 in the stack, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna pick up any other thrillers because I'm such a mood reader. The first one that I have is The Quiet Tenant. I've talked about this book a lot and how excited I am to read it, and so many of you guys have said that this book is really good. It's about a guy who like kidnaps women, and I think he keeps them in his shed, and he ends up having to move the lady from his shed to, I think, in his home because maybe someone's trying to like find her or something. I can't remember why. But he has a daughter who also lives with him, and the woman who's like captured, she's gonna try to use the daughter as like a way to get out. And I think maybe just like talk to her and be like, hey, like let me go. Like I don't really know the whole story obviously because I haven't read it, but that kind of seems the gist of it. So I'm really excited for this one. And then I also have Behind a Closed Door. This is a recent thriller, literally was just recently released, and it makes me so excited to read it because I love reading thrillers that haven't been read by a bunch of people yet, because I can give my own opinion without everyone else being like, this is bad, this is good, you know what I mean? Like I just like going into it kind of blind. I will say one of you guys did say that this is a really good book, but I find that if like one person gives like one bad review, I'm instantly like, oh, I don't know if I want to read it. It might not be good, which is like such a bad way to think about books, because just because someone else doesn't like it doesn't mean that I won't. But I'm excited for this one because it's supposed to be like a game, I'm pretty sure. It says, would you kill a total stranger to save someone you love? And it says, Sugar and Spice is the latest app craze, taking the world by storm, but for Abby and Brendan Hollander, downloading it leads to a dangerous game of life and death. So I just think that this will be really good. Never read anything from this author, but it looks very sinister with the cover. Then I also have The Good Life by A.R. Torre. I've been wanting to read a book by this author for so long, and I actually got like the idea to pick up this book from one of you guys, because you guys said I should read books on my TBR that have been like on my TBR the longest, and I actually think I might do like a video with that at some point this month, maybe. Don't quote me on that because I really just like mood read, and I do like cool unique video ideas based on like what is my interest at the moment. But I've had this on my TBR for so long, I don't even remember what it's about. I just remember buying it because someone said that it was good, and it says they're looking for the truth, they're hiding it too. That's literally all I know, and I'm not gonna really read anything else, because I do like to go into my thrillers somewhat blind. I feel like it makes it more fun. And then I want to read Where Sleeping Girls Lie, which this is a book by an author that I absolutely love. I read Ace of Spades and really enjoyed it, so I feel like I'll really enjoy this book as well. It's also set at a school, and I just feel like it's gonna be a really good setting for a thriller. It says, it's like I keep stumbling into a dark room, searching for the switch to make things bright again. And when I read Ace of Spades, it gives more of like a mystery, like you're trying to like solve something and figure something out, so I feel like this is kind of gonna be that same vibe. And then the last thriller that I have is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. I almost gave this book away to a free library, and one of you guys was like, please, no, please, it's so good, don't give it away. So I was like, all right, I'm trusting you. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm trusting that's good. Please comment below if you guys have read this book. This is by the author who wrote Flicker in the Dark, and I have not read Flicker in the Dark yet, and I've said this a million times, I have this weird thing where I cannot read the popular book first by the author. I have to read like one of their other books first, and it's genuinely because I have such a high, like, I don't know, like my expectations are so high for that book that like everyone was obsessed with. So if I read another book that isn't like super like high on my like pedestal in my mind, I can have a more accurate representation of what this book is probably going to give me whenever I read it. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like A Flicker in the Dark is it's setting the expectations too high for an author I've never read. So this will be a good start. If I like this author's writing, then I'll probably like A Flicker in the Dark and read that one, but don't even know what it's about. And then I also have a little graphic novel, just one that I want to read this month. It's called Pumpkinheads. This looks like the perfect graphic novel to read just in this season because it's so cutesy. It's about two friends who every year they like do fun like Halloween and fall activities together, and I think it's set at like the end of school or something. It's like their last time that they'll be able to do this together, so I just thought that this would be really, really fun to read. And then I also have a stack of books that are all like heartfelt, make you cry type of books. Now, this is the time that I read this as well because I feel like books that are heavy and make you cry, I can only read when I'm in a good space mentally, and I'm in a great space mentally right now. Like, I'm doing pretty good, but when it gets to that cold weather, when there's no sun, when everyone's holed up inside, I can't do it. So this is my time to shine because the heartfelt books I do like to read in the summer as well, but I feel like I gravitate towards fluffy reads a lot, and this is the perfect time for it. So I picked up Meant for Me by Tay Marley. I don't even know what this book is about, but I do know that Brittany Cherry, who's one of my favorite auto-buy authors, absolutely love the story, and on the front she wrote, surprising and heartfelt, an emotional roller coaster that you won't be able to put down. Now, coming from Brittany Cherry, that's huge because her books are literally books that have wild plot twists. Like, there's always something that happens that you don't expect, and there's just like a lot going on. So on the back it says, sometimes you have to run away to find yourself. It says, reeling from the sudden loss of her older sister, her only family, Addie Mae, flees Los Angeles without a plan or a destination and ends up in Georgetown, Texas. Lost and alone, she's taken in by some kind local ranchers, and there she meets farmhand Zach Ryan, who starts to cut through the grief and pain and show Addie that she has something to live for. That just looks really good. Obviously there's other stuff in it, but it's a small town romance, which I love. So I'm really excited to pick up this book and read it. I also want to read a book by Jennifer Hartman, which I haven't read a book of hers in so long. I think Still Beating was the last one that I read. And Jennifer Hartman's books, I feel, are a little taboo. Like, you just never know what you're gonna get with Jennifer Hartman's books. So this is gonna be a good one because I feel like going into it, I don't know what to expect and really anything could happen. And it says, at 7 years old, Ella and Max were inseparable until life scattered them in different directions, forcing Ella to abruptly leave town. A decade later, she returns for their senior year of high school, moving in across the street from her childhood best friend. But she's not the same girl Max once knew. She now lives in the shadow of her brother, a notorious felon on death row, convicted of a crime that shook the nation. Reeling from the fallout and shunned by her peers, all Ella wants is to fade into the background. And Max has little room for distractions, juggling responsibilities for a disabled father and a distant twin brother. But Ella's return reignites something within him. He wants to be close to her again, to understand her, and to turn their friendship into more. But as the relationship blossoms, new tragedy strikes and darkness threatens to tip their delicate balance. In order to find the light, they'll have to navigate the shadows, and to catch the sun, they must first endure the flames. I am so excited for this. Literally cannot wait to read that book. It just seems like it's gonna be a wild ride. I also want to read If Only for the Summer. This is supposed to be a very deep, heartfelt story. A lot of people have said that, like, in Goodreads, on like the reviews and stuff, like if you like Abby Jimenez's writing, you'll like this one. So I'm excited to read it because I love Abby Jimenez. And it seems like it's gonna be a great story. It says, school may be out, but class is still in session. After a hectic school year with her classroom of first graders, Nova Grant is desperate for a break. So when her best friend invites her to spend the summer down in Miami, taking the vacation is a no-brainer. The only thing is, her best friend's husband had the same idea, inviting his friend Guy Thompson to stay in the condo Nova was already guaranteed. Set out or accidental, fate or coincidental, the attraction between the two is undeniable from day one, but with their days under the sun numbered and plenty of lessons to learn between them, Guy and Nova still find themselves teetering on the line of love lust and love, even if it's only for the summer. I feel like this is giving more fluffy than deep. Like maybe this should have been, because I have like a little stack of fluffy books, maybe this should have been in that stack because this is giving fluffy. And I feel like Abby Jimenez is definitely the queen of fluffy books, even though she does have like deeper themes in a lot of her stories. Another book that is definitely going to be deep and heartfelt is And Then Life Was Beautiful by Asia Monique. I've only read one book by this author, and it was a like little novella, so I feel like I didn't really get a full view of what this author's writing is like, but this looks like a really good one. It's supposed to be a book that makes you cry, and it says August Hansen was a silent type, the kind who spoke through his actions and not his words. He possessed enough power to make me feel safe and secure. I was ready to open up and share the parts of myself I'd never shared with another, and then I got hit with the truth that changed everything. There was a slight chance he'd still want me, only he had to accept our baby too. What? And then from his point of view, it says, Corey Mitchell was my type, the kind you married the first chance you got. She possessed enough power to silence the chaos around me. I was ready to grab a hold of her and never let go, and then I got hit with a truth that changed everything. There was a slight chance she'd still want me, only she had to accept my daughter too. Oh my gosh, this just looks so good, and it's I think details lots of like deeper themes, and it's supposed to make you cry. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna read it. Also, I'm going to read A Worthy Love. Now, I know that this is, I think, the third book in the series, but I read one book by this author and wasn't like obsessed with it, but I really want to read another book by this author to see if I like this author's writing. The first book that I read, I think it was called And Then Life Was Beautiful. No, that's literally what this book is called. What was the other book called that I read? I'm gonna see if I can find it in here. I feel like everyone and their mom has read it. It is called All I've Wanted, All I've Needed. I read that book, wasn't really obsessed with it, but part of me thinks maybe I didn't really care for it because it was a novella. It just was too short. I didn't get enough depth, and I feel like it was a little too cutesy. I just maybe wasn't in the mood for it. I don't know. I just need a full story, like a full book, to really decide how I feel about this author's writing. And I think this is the third or fourth book, but I don't care. So maybe you guys have said I can go into it and not have to read the other ones. So the other books, a lot of them are not like as thick as this one. So I just have heard this is the best one. So I'm like, I'm gonna skip to this one. But if I like the other ones, I will go back because I do own them. This says publicly humiliated. Marissa Banks is blindsided by the news that the man she's been dating for months is married. Oh, not it starting out like that. Oh my gosh. What? What? I feel like I have to read this first. Being called names she wouldn't wish on anyone in front of a room full of people by her boyfriend's wife is enough to shake her identity to its foundations. In an attempt to rebuild, she makes a few questionable decisions. Asher Blaine is one of them. He's intelligent and he's sexy, but the pedestal he's got himself up on is unshakable, or so he thinks. Marissa asks for the one thing he can't deny her, even if it's the craziest thing that he's ever done. She wants one night, his best 8 hours, and dang if he doesn't deliver. Does not say dang, we all know I don't curse, so just bear with me here. The next morning, her bubble is shattered by his loud mouth, and Marissa retaliates with a stiletto and a remote. The best night of her life is over, and she's more than happy to walk away to a free woman. Asher's job sends him to Marissa's city, and when they cross paths again, it's Asher's turn to make an offer. And just like him, she can't refuse. Will her worst nightmare and his complicated past ruin what they're building, or can they lean on one another to make it through? I feel like this is going to be much better than the other one. And there's also a ton of trigger warnings in this book, because I think it also just really dives into a lot of deeper themes, which is what I've been really leaning towards. So excited for that one. And then this is a book that was recently on my TBR like a few months ago, I think in like May, and I never read it, so I really want to get to this one. It's called A Love Letter to Whiskey. I don't even really know what this is about. literally on the back, all it says is, I saw him first, but it didn't matter because he saw her. He was my best friend, I was his. We couldn't be together, but we couldn't stand to be apart. And if you're not truly lovers, but you're so much more than friends, what exactly are you? It's supposed to be very deep and heartfelt. Now, you guys know how I feel about long books. Like, sometimes people just be writing books that are long for longness sake. Like, they don't need to be that long. And this is almost 600 pages, so I am a little bit nervous. So if you guys have read this book, please comment below and encourage me to continue to like pick it up this month and actually read it. I think that's the only thing that's been keeping me from reading it. I'm just literally scared that if I start it, I won't like it. I do need to get more comfortable with DNFing books because I never do that. And I feel like that would make me more comfortable with starting long books because I would feel comfortable like not reading them. But I also feel like I like to finish my books because sometimes books surprise me at the end, and also sometimes like I like to finish what I start. I'll say that, especially with books. But I also have 2 books on my list that are literary fiction or contemporary fiction, somewhere in those lines. They were not in the romance section. I've been trying to branch out a little bit more. I've been buying more books that are in this section. I feel like I really am catching my groove. I have some wrap-ups coming very soon where you guys will see that I've been reading some books that are outside of my genre of what I normally read, and it's exciting because I am actually enjoying them. So it's making me want to dip my toe just a bit, not too much, because if I do too much, I feel like maybe I'll get a little burnout, which is why I haven't really dipped my toe back into that genre very much. But I feel like you guys gave so many great recs whenever I was out of town, and I ended up picking up some books based on your recommendations in recent like videos and stuff. So yeah, I have anniebot that I want to read, and I picked this up whenever I was in Portland, Oregon with the girls. This is not a typical book that I would normally read. It's not a typical book, but it says that, like on the inside, it says for lovers of My Dark Vanessa, and that is a book that is a literary fiction book that I read that I absolutely loved, and I think it'll be in my like top 10. I think, maybe, don't quote me on that, but it's in my top 10 of like the last 6 months. So if another book doesn't top it in the next 6 months, then it definitely will be like one of my like favorite reads of the year. So I feel like because I like that, I will like this book. I don't even really know what it's about. I think it's a guy who's like in love with a robot or something. Like, I don't even know, but I'm trying here. I'm trying to pick up books that are outside of my genres of like what I normally read. And if a book is referencing a book that I already loved and it's saying that this book is similar, I feel like I'll like this one. I also picked up All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. One of you guys actually said that you started reading this book and you had to put it down because it was that sad and like sickening. And I was like, bet, I'm gonna pick it up. I literally was like, oh, the book is sick. Oh, the book made you sick to your stomach. Oh, the book is like just so wild you had to put it down. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm literally gonna pick it up. So I'm interested to figure out what even this is about because it doesn't really say too much on the back of what happens in the story. It says love knows no boundaries, a beautiful and provocative love story between 2 unlikely people and the hard-won relationship that elevates them above the Midwestern meth lab backdrop of their lives. All the ugly and wonderful things challenges all we know and believe about the human heart. That's all I know. I don't even know what it's about. It'll be interesting to see what the storyline actually is. And then I have, of course, some cutesy little romances. These are romances that I feel like I will need to read in between the heavier books because I have like that stack of really heartfelt romances that'll make you cry, and I have these 2 books that are like literary fiction, contemporary fiction. Like I have those 5 heavy thrillers. I will need a fluffy little romance. Like I can guarantee it because my mood changes so much based on the books I read. So if I'm reading like 5, 6 books that are heavy, I have to read some cutesy little romances in there. So I picked up A Long Time Coming by Megan Quinn. This is actually the 3rd book in the series. I know you don't have to read them in order, which is why I picked up this one, because I think I've heard that this is one of the best out of the 3. I've heard that the first one like isn't everyone's cup of tea, so I think I've read one book by this author. I read like a Christmas book by this author. It was cute. It was fine. It was nothing like wild, nothing really to write home about. I don't even remember the characters' names. I actually think I rated it 2 stars, to be honest. Like, it was just a little spicy for me. Like, but now I kind of know what I'm going into. Like, this is a pretty spicy story. The author writes pretty spicy writing. I also have read one other book by this author, but I did really love that one. I forget what it's called. It's like a thicker book. But I really liked it. It was about a couple that was like about to get divorced, and I hadn't really heard many people talk about it, so I was like, oh, like I want to read that. I liked it. So I think, let me see. I feel like I need to look at the title of that one, because if I don't think of the title right now, it's literally going to, I'm never going to think of it ever again, and you guys are going to probably ask me what the book is, and I will be like, you know what, I actually don't know. But this author actually writes a lot of books, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people love her books, but they all kind of seem to have like a similar vibe, like cutesy, fun. The book I read was called Untying the Knot. That's what I read. So if you're wanting a book that's like about divorce, a couple that's divorcing, it was cute. I think I rated it like 3.5, maybe 4 stars. Like, it was cute. So I'm reading this one because I know I'm gonna need a fluffy little fun break in between the heavier books. I also picked up The Good Ones Are Taken. I have a lot of books recently that I've picked up by authors that are like Black authors that have recently released books, and I have so many of them on my shelf that I have not read, so I wanted to read them. So I put a few of them in this stack, and this says, when Maggie's best friend admits he's in love with her, she'll have to decide whether it's worth giving up something good for something that could be amazing in this laugh out loud friends to lovers rom-com. Now, I am pretty sure that this is like a love triangle, and this author wrote Zora Books Her Happily Ever After, which was also a love triangle, and I ate it up. Like, I ate it up. So I feel like she just does love triangles well, so this will be fun, cutesy, laugh out loud, all the good fluffy feels. I also picked up Pardon My Frenchie, which this was also just released, and I've read a lot of books in previous videos that are recent releases that I absolutely love, like Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen, When I Think of You by Maya Ariel, Love Like the Sun by Rissa Nielsen, Between Friends and Lovers by Charlene Aboubi, I think that's how you say her last name. All those authors all have books that were recently released, and I love them all. Like, every single one of them I was obsessed with. So I feel like I need to add in some new releases because I kind of want to get that feeling back again. Part of it, I think, comes because I haven't heard much about the book, so I can kind of go into it a little bit blind because the books are so new. So I have 3 books. One of them is this, one of them is this one, and then there's another one in this stack as well. But this one says, these enemies have a few new tricks to learn about falling in love. I think this is about like a dog walker and a guy who like doesn't like dogs or something like that. How are they gonna fall in love? I don't know, because honestly, if you don't like dogs, that's a red flag for me. But I'm interested to see how this book goes. I've never read anything by this author, but she's written a ton of books like The Hookup Plan and stuff. And I thought it would be fun to read one of the newer books that she's written first, because I just want to go in with an empty brain. I don't want to hear what other people said about your writing or anything. I just want to go into it with my own thoughts. And another book that's like cutesy and fun is The Partner Plot. I loved reading The Neighbor Favor. It was very cute. I think I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. This book is the second book in the series, and some people have said that this book is even better than the first one. This says 2 former high school sweethearts get a second chance in this marriage of convenience romance. That's all I need to know. I absolutely love books that have high school sweethearts or childhood friends to lovers. Like, I think it's because me, like, and my husband, we both met when we were so young. Like, we got together when I was 19 and he was 19, and we met when I was 18. So like, we just, you know, it's like you're so young, it's nice to grow with someone together, and I feel like these are my favorite types of books. So I picked this one up. It recently was released this year, so I wanted to pick up 3 books that were new releases. And speaking of new releases, I also have other new releases that are by authors that are pretty hyped up. And these are by authors that I feel like are somewhat hyped up, but not really. Like, they definitely deserve more hype, and I think part of that comes with when you find books by Black authors, a lot of people are not grabbing those books off the shelves like right away. Usually people wait to hear what someone has to say about a book before they buy the book, but no one's buying the book because they haven't heard anyone talk about the book. So like, for me, a lot of these authors are new to me. Like, I've read one book by this author. I haven't read any books by this author. I've read one book by this author, or 2 books by this author. But I do love this author, so I'm gonna pick up this book again, but a lot of people I feel like wouldn't unless they've heard of the author before. Now, Christina Lauren, they both came out with this book this year. I picked it up because I've read Love and Other Words by this author and absolutely loved it. And I feel like so many other people pick up books based on like the books that they've read by the author and if they enjoyed it or not. I've heard that this is one of their best work, which is surprising because I don't actually really like the cover of this book. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like very ugly to me. It kind of gives me mom book vibes. You guys know what I mean? Like those books that like your mom might pick up. Nothing bad about it. Like the Kristen Hanna books, like the, I don't know, you know the books. Like it just gives mom book. Like it might be on my grandma's shelf somewhere. Like this gives that, but I definitely want to read this book because I loved Love and Other Words by this author duo, and I feel like if I love that book and people are saying this is some of their best work, then I will enjoy this book as well. It's supposed to be super funny. It says that this book is a romance between the buttoned-up heir of a grocery chain and a free-spirited artist as they fake their relationship in order to receive a massive inheritance. That's all I need to know. Sounds fluffy, sounds fun, and it will be a great balance between those wild thrillers. And then I also have Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. I picked this up when I was book shopping in Portland as well. And it looks so good. I haven't read anything from Rainbow Rowell since I was a kid. I think I read Eleanor and Park when I was in high school. And I really enjoyed that book, so we're gonna see how I feel about this one. Granted, I have not read anything from this author since I was young, so I don't even remember what the writing is like. I just remember at the time I liked it. Granted, I was very, very young. So we'll see. I think that this is a friends to lovers story, which you guys know is my favorite trope of all time. It says that Slow Dance is a bright and beaming power ballad of a novel about a love so true it refuses to be forgotten. So yeah, those are all the 20 books that I want to read. I feel like I gave a rapid fire because I just didn't want to be here all day, and obviously we've been here already almost half an hour, which is long enough. But I have a massive stack of books, and please comment below the books that you guys are going to be reading this month or this coming month. I definitely will not stick to this TBR. I already know that. I am such a mood reader, so I allow myself to choose different books. I do not stick to my TBR at all. So make sure you guys watch my wrap-ups, because my wrap-ups, 1, have books that are not on my TBR, and 2, they also have books that I don't share in any videos at all, because I just sometimes will read a book and I don't vlog it anywhere. And so it gives you just an idea of what I've read without like me sharing it anywhere, and you can see like my thoughts outside of just like what I write on Goodreads. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!